Whoa, what's good with you, Yang Gang? This your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm up. And I'd like to thank everybody who checked out my last video, the Joe Rogan Experience, special guest of Bernie Sanders versus the Joe Rogan Experience, special guest of Andrew Yang. And if you missed the last video, I was talking about comparing healthcare, drug companies, and gun laws, but the video had got too long, so I said I was going to split it in half, and this video is going to be UBI versus $15 an hour, you know what I'm saying, legalizing of the marijuana and climate control. Whoa, before we get started with the video, I would like to take a moment to thank every individual person who watch, who like, who subscribe, who comment on this video, who is a part of the Yang Gang, who's trying to get the word out there, and who's sharing other Yang Gang members. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate every individual person. And when I reach 1,000 subscribers, what I want to do is start a Patreon and start giving away Andrew Yang's book on war on normal people. And if you with that, let's do this here. This your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and let's go back to the video. I'm diving. First topic, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang, illegal drugs, and what they think that we should do going forward in the future about it. Since Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders have such similar policies when it comes to illegal drugs, because they both campaigning about legalizing marijuana. But one thing that stood out to me about that was Andrew Yang said on 4/20, when he become president, he want to release everybody out of prison that was arrested for minor marijuana charges. Now, one other thing that I know that was different when it came to the hard drugs. That's when we have a difference between Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders' main focus will be on the younger generation, on the youth, which is a good thing. We do need to focus on the youth because that is our future. But you know, so he was saying about we need to give them a better education and help them with a better path so that way they won't lead off into drugs. Now, the difference between that and what Andrew Yang is saying, because they both have some good points about this here. What Andrew Yang, his difference is what he would like to do for the right here and the right now is people that's on drugs like heroin and stuff like that have these hard addictions. Instead of just putting them up in prison because they doing things because of this addiction, we need to do like some of these other countries are doing. They taking these people and they putting them into rehabilitation, especially the ones that want to be rehabilitated. Therefore, they could become a part of society again. Sometimes they fall off when you slip and then you become on drugs or something happen when you be on drugs. A lot of people just need a little help, but you sending them to prison, then all of a sudden they get into this whirlwind and they start funneling down. But if you could help them out, they actually probably could be a better part of civilization that's going on in the States, and people wouldn't be complaining about, oh, you want to give everybody $1,000, what about the people that's on drugs? They're going to just spend the money on drugs. Understand that, but that's why you come in to help the people that's on drugs, help them try to get off of drugs so they could be successful in society. And with Bernie Sanders, once you started off from, you know, so you start from the bottom, the ground root. What he was saying was when you get the children and then when they live a life and they don't see all these drugs and it's not every day in their face and they want this here and stuff like that become normalized, when they be able to see like becoming a lawyer or a doctor and stuff like that is normalized and you can see it, then I can see that if they falling away from using drugs and stuff like that, especially illegal kind, or even alcohol. And I ain't talking about, you know, saying somebody get them a little sip on, you know, grown man stuff or grown woman, you know, saying grown folks. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, like, you know, a person that might go get a fifth of alcohol and drink every day and just drink, or wake up in the morning drinking. You know, those type of people, that's an addiction too. You need a little bit of help. I just want to let you know, you might not feel like it yourself, but I just, you know what I'm saying, from the heart, I just want to tell you, if you drink in the morning when you wake up and the last thing you do is get a shot, you might need a little bit of help. Well, that was my thoughts about the drug, weed, and marijuana, and I did throw a little bit of alcohol in them. But the next one, I'm going to talk about the climate control and the UBI versus $15 an hour. Now, the difference between that is I might have to just talk about those all in one because it got a little quantum entanglement going on when it comes to those, because it's crazy how climate control and UBI and $15 an hour could relate to each other. So it's gonna be kind of like, I call it quantum entanglement. Like a lot of people don't know, like I'm just FYI for people that don't know or a little personal thing about me. One of my favorite elements on the periodical table, I might have mispronounced that word, but y'all know what I'm saying. But one of my favorite elements is element 115, and it just, ever since I ever seen it, it stood out to me because it kind of represents me on the cool. Because if you look at what on the periodic table is like a U and a U up, and then the way they say that this element came about, like it's just not it's him, but it was one of the last ones to be found. And something about element 115 reminds me of me. I'm just dude. If y'all know about element 115 and y'all know about the periodic table, and I'm mispronouncing the word, but you understand what I'm saying, hopefully, because I know some people say, "What kind of English he talking?" I find it hilarious, but I'm gonna go ahead and get to the climate control and the UBI, because you know what I'm saying, I ain't gonna sit here and just rant. Even though I know some people want to know a little bit of inside of me, and I like to thank everybody that's coming rocking out with me. So I feel a little bit like, hey, you know, just letting you know a little bit about me, even though it might be a little nerdy, a little geeky, little stuff like that. But let's go ahead and get to this BS about climate control and UBI versus $15 an hour. Let's dive straight into this quantum entanglement. For all of my people that's been rocking out with me, y'all know how I feel about raising the minimum wage up to $15 an hour versus UBI. But for all of my new people that just discovered me, just finding me, or just becoming a part of the Yang Game, first and foremost, I would like to say welcome to the Yang Game. And I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how I feel about UBI versus $15 an hour. This is why I'm against raising the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. I'm going to break it down into small math. That way it'll be easier for me to explain. All right. If a person started a job and he started working at $10 an hour, and he'd been working there for 5 years, and he was getting a dollar raise every year, so after 5 years he'd have finally made it up to $15 an hour. But now they raised up the minimum wage from $7 to $15 an hour. That don't necessarily mean that the person that was making $15 an hour that been working for the last 5 years will get a $5 raise. So now his $15 an hour is the minimum wage, and he's been doing that for 5 years, so he'd have lost all that time, and he basically starting over. And another thing is, these big corporations, what they like to do is make a certain amount of profit. So let's say if they starting a person off at $10 an hour, now they got to raise the minimum wage up, or raise the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. So that means that's $5 more they got to pay. So what they will do is, to make the same profit, is one or two things. They're gonna either raise the price of the product, or 1 out of every 3 people is going to get laid off, and they're going to make those other 2 people do the amount of work that the third person was doing for that $15. So that means the $10 that they was getting paid between the 3 people would have been $30. Now they got to pay them $15, so now they're only paying 2 people those $15 an hour to give them that $30. But those 2 people will have to do the work of the 3 people. That way they can make it even, so they can make the same amount of money. That's why I think raising the minimum wage up to $15 an hour is bad. But I digress about that. I want to hop straight into the difference between this quantum entanglement with the climate control and the UBI versus the $15 an hour, and how it kind of entangles with each other. Because when I was hearing about what Bernie Sanders, he had made a valid point. Now, he is against fossil fuels, but when he was saying about these fossil fuel companies, oh man, they gonna get him, because they are billion-dollar corporations. He really trying to fight up against them, and he was saying that, oh, I'm just gonna go tell them this is what y'all have to do and stuff like that. Like they really moral, like they really care about the people. If they cared about the people, they'll know they rich enough. They don't need to do this. They'd have been trying to invest into the future. The only thing they're investing into is their power. So it's no way possible. Bernie Sanders, he's saying he want to go talk to the people. I know that America, we could do our part, but then you had these big fossil fuel companies, and he said he could explain to them like they don't already know this. Come on, you know they know this here. And the reason why they trying to build every penny out of the ground that they can get before they get completely shut down, so they can have their money and their power. That's why they campaigning, they doing stuff to keep you from noticing it. That's why you see Donald Trump talking about, oh, climate control ain't real. Man, have you been outside? I don't care how people think about Donald Trump. If he haven't been outside and felt how hot it was, like literally him felt this him, he don't have to go to no scientists. You can feel it for yourself to know climate control is real. So they can miss me with all that. I know they doing that because they want to keep drilling and keep destroying our earth. The place that we live on, the only place that we live on. I can see if they was taking their money and investing to go find places outside the galaxy that's in the Goldilocks zone that we can go to. But no, they just want to do this for the power. They want to destroy everybody and everything. So it's not just one country, it's all countries. And then you got these big, gigantic trillionaires that's over everything that's running these things, and they don't care. So that's why they doing. But what I like what Bernie Sanders did say, I know you can't go against them, but what you did say is being able to re-alter that, and like people that's working on the all rigs and stuff like that, because you say you pro work. Now, there's only a couple of times I will say when you could readjust a person from working in one area to start doing something different, like construction work, like you working offshore on the rigs or whatever like that. I can see you transitioning to construction work if you was trying about implementing, like, you know, saying the whole money and reinvesting into like rebuilding buildings and doing better infrastructure so they could be more energy efficient and, you know, saying investing in those type of things. All of that is good. That's what we need to start focusing on and moving to. But with Andrew Yang, I will say this here, I'm a part of the Yang game, but he made it straightforward and he said, look, climate control is real. We need to work on this here, but you can't get the people to invest in this here if the people worrying about putting food on the plate for their kids and their family and feeding everybody. You can't worry about, you know what I'm saying, the penguins and all these other endangered species when you are in danger your damn self. You gotta worry about yourself. So if you get that off of people, now we can open our eyes. We know, so we ain't got this to worry about. So now we can start using our brain power to start thinking about other things, and people could be people could bring more ideas to the table because they not solely focusing on this. Now they can focus on other things. So what Andrew Yang is proposing, it's cool, it could work. I like how he proposing of going by it, but then with Bernie Sanders saying about being able to take all these jobs that's going through this fossil fuel companies, and then because you know the people that's working out there is normal, regular, everyday people. They just trying to feed their family, which I can understand. You got to do what you got to do to feed your family. But what's enough money? I'm talking about these trillionaires and billionaires, even these millionaires. You have enough money to live for your family to live for the rest of y'all life. Y'all don't have to destroy the earth, but they want power. But that's not. I digress about that. But the only thing we can do is because Bernie want to go up against them and try to make them do something. You can't make people do things they don't want to do, especially really and truly they're above the law, because a lot of them is not even from this country, or the corporations is bigger than just one country. So when I mean by bigger than one country, not just manpower, but like money, and they don't have to be in a country, like places they move out to these other countries to do business and stuff like that. They making robots to replace people so they can maximize their profit. If they maximize their profit, they could be more powerful. That's what they want, and that's the only reason why they pushing for this and they campaigning. You know what I'm saying? With the whole thing with Bernie Sanders is bringing upon taking these jobs away, but don't just take these jobs away. Make an alternate job that fit these workers that could actually be beneficial for society. That made sense. And with Andrew Yang, a proposal about taking a boot off people back, giving them not $15 an hour, giving them a UBI, that mean they could solely focusing on when they got to make this transition from off of fossil fuel to being energy efficient. They will be able to do that. So when I see the UBI coming about, is giving a person the opportunity to sit back and make the best decision. Now with the $15 an hour, what I see the problem is, okay, they're starting off at $15 an hour. Now you got people that's coming out show that's working and doing these other jobs, and they competing against other people, and they trying to pay you $15 an hour, and they trying to bid on these businesses to do the energy efficient. They got to say, well, I want to hire this amount of people, but I'm making this amount of money and I got to make this amount of profit. So instead of me hiring 50 people, I got to cut that number down to 35. You see what I'm saying? So raising the $15 an hour, that's good, but then it's bad. But some of the stuff that he was saying with Bernie Sanders, like it can meet, but you need a little bit of yang in there. You need a little bit of yang in there, because the way he proposed and doing it is so similar. They just got a slight couple difference. Like they're on the same road, but they just in two different lanes. They're on the same road, just in two different lanes, and they're going in the same direction. It just who proposes is the best to get to the end of the rainbow. So that is my thoughts about Andrew Yang versus Bernie Sanders on the Joe Rogan Experience. And I will say, I like Joe Rogan. He is a very cool, respectable dude. You know what I'm saying? He like one of them dudes. He work out, you know what I'm saying? He in shape, but he ain't trying to be forceful. He, you know what I'm saying? He down to earth, and I respect his show. And there's a lot of other people that I respect out there that's doing their thing. And I look at those as like motivations for me to get there. And one thing that I almost forgot to mention that I would like to add into this here when I was talking about, you know what I'm saying, these addiction with the drugs and stuff like that. Like, neither one of the candidates mentioned this here. Pretty much nobody. And for the people that's listening to the end of this video, appreciate y'all for checking this out. That's why I'm finna drop this jewel on y'all. A lot of people don't realize being addicted to drugs, you need rehabilitation, you need help. But people don't realize being a drug dealer is an addiction as well. Sometimes you need help. That's like, let me give you an example. So if you don't understand what I mean by it's an addiction as well, think about it. Like, they got people that like to take risks, risk takers, or skydiving, or bungee jumping. It's a thrill. It gets your blood pumping. You know what I'm saying? Or it releases the whatever in your brain that release the drug chemical and stuff like that. So when you out there selling drugs, it give you that same rush, same feeling, make you feel alive. You out here doing. A lot of people, they say they doing it for the money, but then they have a lot of people that's doing it for the rush, for the name, for the cause, just saying, I'm that person. That's what I mean by it's an addiction. It makes a person get addicted to that fast life, living like this here, working like this here, money coming in, and you just throwing it, people loving you, running around you, you get into this danger, you know what I'm saying? It's an addiction. So I just want to let people know, if you didn't know, selling drugs is an addiction as well that need to be corrected. And with Andrew Yang's proposal of UBI, that will have people thinking, if I sell these drugs, I will lose my UBI if I get caught. It's $1,000 a month worth these crumbs, and then going to jail and working for a crumb of a crumb from a crumb. So y'all got to keep that in consideration. Well, this your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I want to say I thank everybody for coming to rock out with me. We're going to keep this thing pumping, and I can't wait till I get to the point where I could put my hands up like this here and say, check out this video right here, or something down here. But whenever I get to that level, y'all know what I'm saying, I appreciate y'all for coming and going along with this journey with me. Well, this your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm out. And remember, I don't do this for me, I do this for we. Yang gang.